Hello everyone, this is a lesson on all the equipment that you need to take on an expedition if we're doing a Duke of Ed's trip or any other trip at school. I'm just going to run through the basic equipment that we need to have a safe and enjoyable trip. Number one is the pack. This is my old faithful pack. You don't need to spend a lot of money on a pack these days, but you need to make sure you've got a quality pack. And what you want is to make sure it's comfortable on the back, and the most important thing is it's got a strap that can go around your stomach and you carry your weight around your hips. That's really, really important. It doesn't have to be fancy at all, but I'll talk about the pack when I have a separate lesson on packing the pack. Of course, when we're out in the bush, we need a tent. And if you're a part-time camper or doing it in a group, you can get some good tents that are relatively cheap, and it's a good idea to spread the poles around and the tent around the various people in your group. But you want the tent to be as small as possible, that you can fit as many people in it as you can. Do not bring a big 5-man tent, it will be a disaster. A 2-man or 3-man tent is more than enough. Footwear is really important when you're hiking. Many people do walk in their runners these days, but your feet are more likely to get wet. It's always a good idea to invest in a good pair of hiking boots, one that give you ankle support and lots of grip, and they do last a long time. I always take a pair of thongs or some sandals at the end of the day because your feet do get hot and sweaty, and it's good to be able to walk around the campsite with a pair of thongs on. Don't walk around the campsite without shoes on, because if you get a cut or an abrasion, remember there's snakes around, ants, scorpions. Always have that secondary pair of footwear to relax at the end of the day. Very important as you're walking to carry 2 to 3 litres of water, all depending on the water supply. And sometimes the map will say there's a creek and there won't be one, or the water's off. So you really need to plan how much water you need to get through your destination. What can happen when you're hiking or out in the wilderness situation is it can rain, even when you're not expecting it. So you can get some high quality bags these days that you can stuff all your material into them, and they roll up like that, and you can put them in your pack, and that's waterproof. Well, the other way is to make sure you bring some garbage bags. So if it is wet, that you can stuff all your stuff into your garbage bags. My recommendation is to use your garbage bag as a liner in your pack as you put your material in it, just in case it rains. I've been caught before, I've been lazy before, and it's not nice having a wet sleeping bag at night and wet gear. One thing I'd thoroughly recommend is a thermarest. You want your camping to be as comfortable as possible, and one of the best inventions in the last 20 years, I think it is a self-inflating mat. They cost around $100, I think, now in Anaconda or other shops. But if you can invest in a thermarest, I'd thoroughly recommend it. Otherwise, just get a blue mat that you can lie on. Don't lie directly on the ground, because the ground will suck the heat out of you, and there's the real risk of hypothermia. You don't need a big towel. You might just need a little towel to wash yourself off at the end of the day. You can pack a towel if you want, but make sure it's only a half size one, so you need a towel. Very importantly, you always take a hat and wear a hat on your hike to keep the sun off your face. There's a real risk of course, of sunburn and sunstroke, so always wear the hat at night. Alternatively, it does get cold sometimes out in the wilderness, and we know that we lose the majority of our heat through our head. So packing a beanie, I always recommend packing a beanie. Another important thing to have is a compact, good quality, relatively good quality sleeping bag that can pack up. You can get compactors for your sleeping bags, so they fit in your pack as well. So just talk to the person at the store what you require. But you'd want something if you're going to get into hiking in the wilderness, something that goes down to 0. Bring all your toiletries that you need. Don't bring a big bottle of shampoo, just bring a small bottle as you'd get in a hotel. Toothpaste, toothbrush, some deodorant, everything that you need for your camp. Another really, really important item is a japara when you're walking around the campsite that you can keep dry. Very, very important. This is a military issue one, and that would be something also I'd recommend, is to make sure you've got a decent quality wet weather gear. A slicker from school would be a minimum, I think, in this context. With all your clothing, you just need the minimum. The most important principle is you've got something to walk in, and something dry and warm to put on at night. Good quality socks help. We've got to watch out for blisters along the way, and you want to be comfortable. I take 2 or 3 t-shirts. I always walk in shorts. I find that's a lot more comfortable, but I always have a pair of dry tracksuit pants at the end of the day in case it's cool. There's my shorts there. And you need to have enough material to keep warm in case it gets cold. So wool is always really useful, and the thing about wool is that it stays warm even if it's wet, whereas other materials will suck heat out of you, beg your pardon. So just be responsible with your clothing. Always need a torch, okay? 1 to get around the campsite, and 2 if you are lost, that you've got something to signal with. Finally, and I haven't included the food, I'll do that in a separate lesson, is just to have a cup for a cup of tea at the end of the day, or to have some drinking water. You only need 1 bowl, because you can always wash it out between meals, and I just think a knife and a fork is more than enough. So they're the basics of what you need for your hiking expeditions. It's important to pack responsibly, to pack as light as possible, and I'll talk about making sure you pack everything in your pack. If you've got any more questions, don't hesitate to ask one of the staff and we can give you some more advice. Thanks for listening. Bye.